This is Fernando. Thanks for clicking on this video. Trading can be likened to walking in a field or in the dark if you do not have a larger perspective on the market. In this video, I'm going to share with you what I find extremely useful when I want to enter a trade, something I call hidden NQ zones. Just the usual disclaimer, trading is very risky. Futures trading is very risky. Chances are you're going to lose money. Why do I say that? Because you will. We all have. One thing I realized, which I wish I would have realized earlier, is that timing the market is next to impossible. So trade only risk capital. This channel was created to show some things that work for me. They might work for you, so please do your own research. Trading is a skill that can be learned and eventually mastered. It will require a substantial investment in time and money. You will not get rich quick or figure it out in a week or a month. Okay, enough preaching. Enjoy this sweet intro. As I said earlier, my name is Fernando. I've been trading the futures markets since 2016. I currently reside in Phoenix, Arizona, although New York is really where I grew up. Always had a desire to be involved in some sort of a financial industry, as all of us. We watch a few videos and are convinced that we can figure it out because, hey, that guy just made $400 in 10 minutes, right? I started out this way. Soon after blowing up a personal account, I went on a quest to find the perfect indicator and then the perfect strategy that would make me $1 million. How many of us are still doing that? Then I started buying a course, and then I bought another one, and it was course after course. Soon realized that those people weren't traders. They were merely good salespeople selling me a dream, and I fell for it. So I won't bore you with the rest of the story. Suffice it to say that I have learned that I have to rely on myself. I have to do the research. I have to put in the time. I have to put in the screen time. I would say that probably in the last year, I have put in hundreds and hundreds, perhaps thousands of hours of screen time. Not actual trading, but just watching the market. And this led me to look at the market from a different perspective. In other words, where am I in relation to the market direction? Where can I enter where I will not get hurt? Now, that is something that I think anybody would pay real money to figure out. By the way, in video 3, I will give you some ideas on how to enter a position and not get hurt, regardless of whether you're wrong. But back to the NQ zones. This is when I discovered these zones and that liquidity and market participants would meet and create trading opportunities for me there. This led me to another thing that I needed to understand and learn, that markets have to be balanced. And if they're not, then those create opportunities for us to trade as well. Let me show you these zones, where they are, why you need to plot them on your chart and keep them there always. If I would show you, I have 2 or 3 different charts. All of them have these lines, these zones on them. Why? Because I have made them part of me, and you will depend on them as well, especially for that higher perspective. And I don't mean higher time frame perspective. As useful as that is, these zones are time frame independent. It doesn't matter if you're looking at the 5-minute chart, the 30-minute chart, or the 4-hour or the daily chart. These zones always have to be on your chart. So let me show you how this works for me. As you can see, for me, less is more. I started putting in 5, 6, 7, 10, 15 different indicators. At one point, I couldn't even tell if there was candles in there, or I don't even remember. But there was a time when I would rely a lot on indicators. And I soon realized, I think as most of you have come to learn also, that indicators are second and third in line. They can confirm certain things, but most people, most pros do not rely on indicators, and I think we know why, and that's because they're basically plotting something that happened. They're not actually predicting anything, which is why they're not called predictors, right? Anyhow, so I'm going to show how I do this on a clean chart. This is the NQ, the June contract. I think we're supposed to be in the September contract, but for this demonstration, it doesn't really matter. The point here is that these zones exist in most markets. I trade the MNQ, I trade the micros, but because my micro chart already has them, I'm not going to demonstrate it on that, but I will show you on the NQ chart. And basically the gist of this is that there are certain areas, certain price zones, to say it that way, where they become psychological zones. If you want to call them buying zones or selling zones, I really don't buy into that whole buying and selling zones, because once the price goes through that, does it retain that area as a potential buying zone? Or if it goes through this area here, where it used to be a selling zone, and if it keeps going, is that still valid? And how do you know if there's, it's speculation. I don't buy it. So what I do is, instead of trying to guess where there's going to be buyers or sellers, I plot zones. And let me show you what I do. Is this is Ninja, but this can be done pretty much in any platform. So I look for the hundreds and the 50s zones. And so what I'll do is, when I open up a new chart, well, actually I haven't done this in a long time, because my charts all have these. And I think the only time that I have to redo it is when the contract has to be, when you have to jump to the next contract expiration. But basically what I do is I draw these zones, and I give them about 6 points of leeway. So I usually start around, in this situation, it would be 3.0, so it's 20,003, and then I would go to 97.0, apply, and that gives me a 6-point area. I mean, it's large enough that if I see that price is coming up strong to that area, it's going to get there for sure, and it's going to go through it, and then guess what, it's going to come back, because that's where a lot of people are going to be either buying or they're going to be selling, whether they've been long and they're just getting rid of their position, or because they're short and they're just covering. That's where they're going to get out. So then what I do is I do the same thing for the 50s. So I'll show you how that works. And it's basically the same way. I lock that one so that I can't move it, and then I copy and I paste the next one, and it's going to have to be unlocked so that I can move it. And then I go down to about the 50. I can somewhat calculate where I drop it. It doesn't have to be exactly where it, 3 points above the 50 and 3 points. But because it's 6 points of the width, it's going to cover about 3 above the 50 and about 3 below the 50. And then I go ahead and lock it. And then I go to the next one and do the same thing. I copy and I paste. And then I move that over to the next area, which would be the 900 area. And if I wanted to double check, I would just look for the properties, and it's pretty close. I mean, this is not rocket science. All you got to do is just get it to that zone area so that when visually, when price starts getting near that area, you know that that's a trigger point. And we want to lock that. So before you know it, you've got your chart with all these different ladders. Every 50, 100, another 50, and so forth. So that's basically the NQ zones. And if you can see, you can look at this for yourself on a chart, plot it on your system, and look at how interesting these levels pretty much come up to these different areas. They sell off, they come back, sell off, come back, go up a little, and they're right in there. When the volatility is higher, it's a different game. But even then, you're looking at these levels with that perspective, and you can pretty much almost predict where these prices are going to go. So that's basically it, the hidden NQ levels. I hope that this short explanation will give you some ideas on how to plot these and use them. Now test this out on your charts and see if it feels right, if it makes sense. If you found value or entertainment in this video, consider liking and subscribing. Comment below your thoughts as well. The bottom line, do what you love, be it a doctor, a plumber, electrician, a nurse, or whatever. As for me, I prefer to trade.